Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Sorry, we're a couple minutes behind. Thank you so much for being here today. Pat should be jumping on in just a couple minutes. Pat, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
You're going to have to hit the video icon. We can't see.
Okay. Just keep walking me through all this.
You're doing great. There you are.
Hi, everyone.
You can pull your display down a bit. There you go. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in on our webinar today. If you can tattoo, you can Tootaloo. This is a product we're really proud of. It's been in the works for a few years now. We started this venture before COVID and continued testing it alongside some very reputable technicians, one who's actually on the call with us today. Pat will touch on that a bit more later on. We launched Tootaloo a couple weekends ago at ESI Toronto with overwhelming success and great feedback. We sold out of our kits and we're now open for some pre-orders this month. So clearly we saw that there is a gap in the market for affordable, good quality products and training to support your PMU services and tattoo removal. One other thing I wanted to mention is before we begin, I should mention that Pat and I have both been pretty under the weather for this past week. So apologies for some slightly nasally sounding voices. The same goes for Pat, but hopefully, we'll make it through and everything will be good. There will be no coughing. We didn't want to cancel today. No, we wanted to be here with you. We didn't want to have to postpone. We know a lot of people have been looking forward to this for a bit now. So onward we go, but apologies, like I said, for some nasally sounding voices.
Chandler, before we go any further, I can barely hear you. And I just want to make absolutely sure that everyone else can hear you and they can also hear me. So perhaps Cass or somebody, one of the other staff can just make sure, like I can just
for sure.
Barely audible.
If everyone is on, who's in here? Oh, I see something. Oh, I have some feedback from Stephanie that she can hear us all fine. So that's great. Thank you so much, Steph.
Okay, then it's just me.
It's just you. I'll pop over in a second, maybe see
if the under the weather brain is
still... maybe we're just hard of hearing now too, on top of it. I don't know. Okay, everyone, we will get started. I am just going to make one other note that on your left-hand side of the screen, there is the Q&A section. So if throughout the presentation you want to drop any questions in there, please do so. At the end of Pat's presentation, we will have a short Q&A live question and answer session with her. So any questions as we go along, please drop them in there. We'll get to them at the end. And if you need any assistance, you can also drop a note in there. We do have Cass behind the scenes who is helping moderate everything. So if you need anything, she's happy to give you a hand. Okay. Oh, and there is a little hand button there. It looks like a hand on the left-hand side that you can always raise, and we'll know that you need assistance and she can reach out to you directly. Yeah, perfect. All right, everyone.
I can't laugh too hard.
You can't laugh too hard because it'll start your coughing, and that's no good.
You're right.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to pass this over to Pat, and we'll get started. Thank you. Pat, you just hit your Adobe.
I hit the wrong one. You see? How about that? Did that work, everybody?
Are you clicking to your next screen? There you go. You're working. Yep, you're good. You're working.
I'm good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to something that's pretty exciting here at the Micro-Pigmentation Center. We are really excited that you're part of our launch and part of wanting to learn and use the Tootaloo Tattoo Removal system. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Pat. I am from the Micro-Pigmentation Center, and the Micro-Pigmentation Center has been in business for 30 years, providing premium products, services, quality training, totally dedicated to the cosmetic tattooing industry. And during that 30-year journey, we decided to recently formulate Chanko Beauty, which allowed us to market and broaden a range of services that didn't just include cosmetic tattooing. So we wanted to be a part of the beauty industry through micro lash lift and tint, through dermaplaning, through dermatude, which is also known as a microneedling metatherapy, anti-aging, firming, lifting, pigmentation treatment in skincare. So we have many other services and continuing education for other products and services to enhance your business. In this enhancement, for many years, I have always felt that we needed something more in our removal system, something to help support the tattooing industry when it came to color correction and to removal of ill-placed, ill-shaped eyebrows, eyeliners, and lips. So when I started this research, honestly, it started 5 years ago, pre-COVID, and of course came to a stop during COVID. So the Tootaloo Tattoo Removal system is simple and easy, and through this presentation, I want to present to you how easily it can be integrated into your permanent makeup services. So simply what it is a system to first, it doesn't replace laser. We're not here to say that this is better than laser. It is by no means. It is an alternative to a removal system. It is an easy, affordable system that you can add and utilize with your micropigmentation devices and even a microblading, a manual tool device. So it's not here to remove complete body art, decorative large body pieces. That's a great way to be removed through the laser system. Tootaloo is to be done with your machine or your manual tool, and it's a two-part system. It is completely saline-based, and it also includes a continuing care program that your client is to use in between your treatment plan. So it's completely been formulated and tested for small pieces of tattooing on facial work, and if you want, even small body pieces. Simply how it works, and I'll get into it in much more detail throughout the presentation, but it's a two-part system that includes the liquid and the healing balm that also promotes and takes care and enhances what you're trying to do in your treatment plan, in your own studio, your own clinic, your own spa. So the removal system and how you use it is key to everything that we're going to have in providing a successful removal treatment. It is completely made in Canada, and we're super proud of that. On where I started with this, to be very honest with everyone, is it is the same doctor that I have been working with on our anesthetics for actually doing permanent makeup and microblading procedures. So he's somebody that I have been working with for almost 30 years in the industry, a well-respected physician, and who has put a lot of love and care in product formulation, in not just the removal system, but just in wellness and and well-being products. So he was the perfect partner for me to establish numerous formulations, tried and tested, to be able to come up with something that was going to be safe for everyone to use and to get the results without compromising the client's skin with scar tissue and any healing issues. So Tootaloo is formulated completely with citric acids, salts, and magnesium. The healing balm contains some of those ingredients so that it enhances what we're trying to do as artists through those removal treatments that you're providing. So with that said, everything that we've got here is completely safe. It's not a drug product, so it does not require any drug identification numbers. Anybody can essentially use it, but it's being promoted and marketed to anybody who's already taken a good fundamental program. You can also use this product if you've also taken other removal training programs. You do not necessarily need to be just taking a Tootaloo training class in order to be able to use this product. So coming back to the trusted and tested process that we went through, which we're super proud of, and we were successful in working with Healthy and Cosmetic Clinic in Vancouver, Stephanie Wilson, who is also in this presentation. During our lockdown, all my trials and all my tests came to a complete halt. I wasn't able to continue. And while other parts of the country continued in opening up during the lockdowns, needless to say, Toronto and Peel and most of the GTA was in continuing lockdown for many, many months. So we passed on our product to Kelly and Stephanie on the West Coast, who successfully continued our trials and worked with the product, and hence they have had extremely successful results. And when we were able to open again in September, we have been using the product very steady since then. So if you have any questions on any of those test results, and we've also got Stephanie, who's part of the pigment panel. And then, of course, through our emails and website, you're welcome to reach out to us on any of that. So coming back to the removal system, if it's better than laser, I really want to emphasize that this is not to replace laser, because I think laser is amazing and I think Tootaloo is amazing, and each one serves a different purpose and each one has their own place in our industry. This is definitely a much lower investment. The upfront costs are basically so minimal because your investment is already into training, your investment is already into your equipment and all your PPE and all of your needles and other supplies that you use in order to perform cosmetic tattooing procedures. So all you're doing is you're just adding something else to the treatment, to the systems that you already have in place. The fading cream, which is really important for everybody to understand, is that it does not eliminate a tattoo. Whether you're using a fading cream that has nothing to do with Tootaloo and is other products, like products that are called Fade Away and some of these others that have been marketed over the many years, they do not remove a tattoo. The fading is limited. You need the support and the help of what you as an artist can provide as a hands-on treatment inside your clinic or your spa. Our fading cream works in conjunction with the removal solution and is best worked on broken and compromised skin. Gone are the days of creating large scabs, of letting the skin dry up and increase the risks of scar tissue in between your treatments. We still need to have numerous sessions, just like laser, just like other removal systems. You need anywhere from 2 to 6 sessions. So of course, that depends on what you're working on. How saturated is the pigment? How old is the pigment? What pigment particles they are? Are they black? Are they blonde? Are they light? Are they gray? Are they red? Are they orange? So by using and working with both elements, you increase the chances of better healing, faster lightening, and of course, moving along so that you can create a more symmetrical eyebrow and work on her complete color correction. Something that is really, really important about pigment removal, I'm going to see how I do here getting this video going. Chandler, you can let me know if did it work?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. So what I'm showing and demonstrating in this video is, in the old days, and still today, actually, I shouldn't say the old days, right up till today, people believe that that product that you're seeing when you're wiping that green-brown color off of a removal, people actually believe that that is pigment. And it is a proven fact that it is not pigment. It is actually a reaction with blood. And to prove this to yourself, you need to take a Tootaloo Tattoo Removal system, and you need to apply it on an area that doesn't have any tattoo pigment. And you will see the same color reaction. Basically, what you're seeing here is the salts and the magnesiums and the acids that are reacting with blood. So if you look at this video, you're seeing a lot of pigment still sitting there in the skin. But what has been wiped is blood that has been mixed with a removal system. So keep in mind to not always judge a removal product by the amount of green or brown or what is being wiped off the surface. Judge it by how much product and how safely you can get the product into the skin without creating scar tissue. It's not a trade-off. You know, we don't want to remove pigment and have skin that's being troughed or skin that is being a hypopigmented, hyperpigmented, or skin that is being raised. We want to remove the product effectively and with some, and not quickly. I want to say not slow, but not super fast, because the more aggressive and the faster we work in the skin, the higher the risk of compromising skin tissue. So just as a gentle reminder that, you know, in the old days when we used Eliminink, and Micro-Pigmentation Center launched the success of the removal system of Eliminink. And we know it hasn't been on the market for many, many years. And we know there was the good side, the bad side of Eliminink removal. And if we're not careful with all the problems that we have going on with eyebrow removal, which has increased tremendously over COVID because there was a lot of online training and a lot of inadequate online training. And there's a lot of bad eyebrows up there and a lot of migrated and bad eyeliners. And there's a lot of lip liners that have been done with colors that are turning blue and gray. that we can safely remove and lighten through the Tootaloo Tattoo Removal system. So moving on with understanding, actually, I'll play this video one more time for everyone. So now that white you're seeing there is the magnesium, of course, and the salts. And then the removal, of course, is the product that is mixed with blood. And for your own, verification, you will get the same reaction on surfaces that don't have pigment tattooed in. So as I just discussed in that video, we know that our key ingredient for removal is the citric acid. We know we need both products to remove and to lighten. Also remember that it is not just about a removal in pigment. Like laser, it is breaking down the particles of pigment. We have to work on not just breaking up that, but to fade it. Not when you're doing laser, we're not just removing particles. We are breaking down particles. You need to do the same thing when you do a liquid removal system. Excuse me. We know that pigment takes space in the skin. So because pigment is taking so much space in the skin, we need to break down and open up some of that space. That space allows you to be able to introduce color correction product. So if you have an eyebrow that's really, really dark and really saturated in color, think of it, the skin cells are very packed with all those particles. So if you want to do color correction, you are going to have a much better success rate if you do a couple sweeps and a couple of removal sessions and then apply some of the color correction. During that removal, you are going to focus on areas that you want removed and lightened completely. So depending on what you're being presented with by that client, you have to have a game plan and a treatment plan. Is it complete removal? Is it only areas that are open for removal? Does she have two tails and the rest of the eyebrow looks pretty good and you just need to do some color boost or color correction? So assessing the game plan is really important in what results you're going to achieve. Thanks to Halcyon Cosmetics and Stephanie here with us in this presentation. These are some of their before and afters. And if you take a look at the very first slide, you will see that that's one session of fading. So what you can achieve here is a 30%, 40% fading without having to put the tissue through a lot of trauma and get ready for your game plan of whether she wants a darker eyebrow, more eyebrow, a different color eyebrow, more arch, smaller eyebrow, whatever the game plan is. In the second one, we've got some microblading. I can see in hair stroke, whether it was a machine device or a manual device, Tootaloo will very successfully remove a full powder shade, or whether you need to just focus on strokes. And in the third one, you can see the success rate has been extremely successful in getting pretty much a complete removal. So anybody can Tootaloo. If you are tattooing, we make this very simple for you. In the kit, it's got steps. We've got webinars available. We've also got available hands-on at the Micro-Pigmentation Center in Shanko Beauty in the Mississauga location. You don't need extensive, long training. So if you are already performing a good tattooing and you feel confident in some of your removal systems and you're looking for another system that's more affordable, that's gentle, that also allows a post-care in between your removal sessions, then Tootaloo is the system for you. So how do we assess what we are going to charge our clients? That's always the hard one. The first thing to do is to consider what doesn't she like? Probably the most obvious. Generally, right now, eyebrows are presenting themselves as being too dark, too close together, and too big, too wide. In the moment, that eyebrow looks great on social media, and a lot of people want eyebrows that they see on somebody else that just isn't always appropriate for them. So we must always remember that our eyebrows should be done so that they age well and they look great without a lot of additional conventional makeup. And the same goes for eyeliner. You know, eyeliner that is worn every day, that ages well every day. So for all of those migrated eyeliners, for all of those enhanced lips that went outside of the vermilion border, you have to assess how much work you're going and how many sessions it's going to take. So is it a session that is going to take removal and color correction? I break it down. I break down what I need to do to give her her wish list eyebrow. And I present to her what she needs to have removed. And I price that out in my first 3 sessions. So if I need to do a complete light removal, my first 2 sessions overall on a very large dark eyebrow will be about $250 to $300 per session. That is just for the removal. And that removal should not take you hours. That removal should take, outside of your trolley setup, the actual hands-on part should take you about 20 minutes. If you're going longer, and that's generous, you're working too long in the skin and too much. You can add, it's better to add an extra treatment and slowly get, slowly get her removal and her lightening sessions. So the second session, which is now going to be held in 4 or 6 weeks, I would charge the same price. On her third session, there should be considerably less to remove, considerably less to lighten, and therefore, as we move along, I am now probably going to charge less, and I'm going to add in now an actual treatment of permanent makeup. So now I start factoring in my permanent makeup sections. Whether that's going to happen in session number 2, whether it's going to happen in session number 4. I've often done it in the first session where I've done a complete color correction and I've just had to do Tootaloo on a double tail or the front sinus area where the eyebrows are just a little too close together. And then my focus is on, even in her touch-ups, I just need to add in a little bit more Tootaloo in some of those small areas. So it really is sitting down with your client and sussing out a game plan for her and give her hope that she can have reasonably, light eyebrows if they are too dark. She can have eyebrows that are reasonably symmetrical if they're not symmetrical. With that support of having Tootaloo with all of your correction work, you can help women who have got eyebrows that are really ill-shaped, eyeliners that are just too thick, and of course, lip liners that are totally out of line. And of course, you can also just work on lip liners that are well in place, but the color is just too dark. So as we know, A lot of the colors that are based with a lot of purples and blues and mauves present themselves really nicely when first implanted, but a long-term heal will result in a more blue, gray, mauve heel. So Tootaloo will also help to lighten those treatments on some of your lip clients. I think I'm almost at the end. No, I've still got a couple more slides. So the online segment that we have for training, as you can see here, we will provide a lot of good highlights into the online training to get you started. Some PDFs, in-depth setup, your instructions, some use cases, client management skills that you might need some tips and tricks on. We will provide a removal manual that we will send to you. You'll be able to download some of your forms. And we're working, I mean, it was a bit of a setback with us a little under the weather when we came back from the Toronto Trade Show, but we're back in full force, and we're going to get that online training set up and ready for you in the next couple of weeks. We also have an in-person that we are going to hold at the school. We're welcome to holding them in the evenings for those of you who want to take continuing education during the day. So for example, we are holding the Karen Betts microblading workshops during the day. We can hold a Tootaloo removal class as well in addition to that for you afterward. Whether you're coming in and doing a Power Brow boot camp, whether you're coming in and doing our full fundamental 7-day programs, whether you want to just do eyeliner, lip liner workshops, we can add on the Tootaloo tattoo training. We can get you your models and do some sessions and some treatments for you so that if you have any questions, we can be there to support any of your removals. And I welcome any of your questions that you have. Are you there, Chandler?
Yep. Can you see me? I just jumped on. You might not be able to see me because you're still on your presentation, but if you come back to, I'm so sorry. If you come back to the webinar portal, you'll see us. Thank you so much for that. We're going to open up the board here for any questions that anybody has. Can you, Pat, can you see me? If you go to the Chrome tab at the bottom, and then you'll come back to Zoho here.
I'm scared to hit anything, ladies.
You can't do anything. You'll still be here. In the meantime, I'll jump over to...
Did that do it?
We can still see you. You just need to click the Chrome tab at the bottom. But don't worry, if you can't see us, I'll still just ask you.
I can see you.
Can you? Okay, great.
I'm so much better. Just keep me in the school, ladies. You really can't do this.
No, you did great. You're becoming a webinar pro. So one of the questions that we just got in, and there's also some that are coming straight to Cass, so she can always drop them in here as well. But for anybody else who's on with us right now live, please feel free to also drop them in the Q&A if you'd like. Our first question is there anyone who isn't an ideal candidate for Tootaloo removal?
That is an excellent question. Such a good question. I'm not, if somebody had really, really dark skin, fits 5, and had a very dark, ill-shaped eyebrow, eyeliner, and of course, we definitely would not do any lip removal at all on that skin type. I would not do removal on that skin type at all. There are not many cases that I won't at least try to help and offer at least a 50% improvement. as I say, I think hope is so important for so many women who have such ill-shaped, poor eyebrows. And we all know that they have excelled in leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. And I think if we work too aggressively and too much on a very dark skin type, 4 and 5, I don't think any removal should be done on them, regardless of Tootaloo. So that would be my recommendation.
Great.
For not to work on.
Another one is asking, is it painful for the client?
Is it painful? Well, was
I
it
guess if
painful
you
putting
had
it in?
the tattoo in the first
Yes.
place and you
It's
made it
the
through
first
your
question.
if you made it
It's
through your
much
original.
easier putting a tattoo in than taking it out, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Actually, with Tootaloo, we're gonna make it even easier. An easier process, a safer process, a gentler process, and a much more successful process. You can use anesthetics with it, absolutely. We shouldn't be using products with epinephrine anyway. So even if you do have a product that has a vasoconstrictor in it, it's not going to hurt the system of the removal. And of course, she's got pain management. So like tattooing, please feel free to use your anesthetics. The skin soothing aid anesthetic has been very effective in conjunction of the Tootaloo Tattoo Removal system. So you can use pain management, so she shouldn't be uncomfortable.
Thank you for that. Someone else has asked, does Tootaloo cause hypopigmentation or hyperpigmentation the way laser can possibly cause?
Another great question. I have not had any. And I think I can speak for Stephanie that they have not had any. And this product, as I said, I have been using, and so has Stephanie, and so have some of our other customers that based in Quebec that we had sent sample product to, and nobody at this point has reported any hypopigmentation. Honestly, I feel hypopigmentation and hyperpigmentation is not created by the product. It is created by technique. Yes, skin types, of course, has something, has a part of it. But if managed properly, and if you are sussing out and assessing a game plan and a treatment plan, I am working on skin types that are 3 on a darker side, and I have had no hypopigmentation and no hyperpigmentation whatsoever. None.
Great, thank you. How do you avoid scarring?
Be kind. Don't be aggressive. It's the same thing, people are saying, well, I'm getting scar tissue with my permanent makeup machine, or I'm getting scar tissue with some of the microblading devices. Well, sometimes it's the user, and if, there is an increase in scar tissue going on right now because there's an increase in substandard training. I mean, that's a fact. It's not just me as an old dog and an old icon in this industry that is just saying this, because I am such a huge supporter and educator of premium, comprehensive training, hands-on training, not online training, hands-on training. You want to take some theory online? Sure. You want to take hands-on training online? That's a really hard act to follow, and you will never ever build the confidence, and you will increase the risks of scar tissue. So if you're not getting scar tissue when you're tattooing, you will not get scar tissue with Tootaloo. It's just, you won't. You get scar tissue from poor technique, regardless of the product, and from overworking and being super aggressive in the skin. We don't need to be aggressive. We can remove with kindness.
Remove with kindness. I love that. Somebody's asking, how many sessions does Tootaloo usually take?
Again, it really does depend on the saturation of pigment in that brow or that eyeliner. So if a brow is blue-gray, the density of the pigment is, it's a carbon base, it's organic base, it's strong, it's very saturated, the pigment is really packed in. It's going to be a process. It is a process. Tattooing is not, removal is not a procedure. It is a process. And get her ready, put her expectations into perspective that you can do this as long as she's going to be patient with you, and you can do this removal, and you can give her great looking eyebrows. So the darker, the more saturated, you're going to need sessions maybe that are upwards of 4, 5, 6, 7 sessions. Each session that you're going to do is going to require less and less and less. Some areas may be more saturated than others. I look at some eyebrows and one eyebrow is darker than the other. Well, of course, the one that is lighter and has less saturation of pigment, less molecules, less pigment particles, is going to require less removal. Whereas the other one is going to take a lot more work and maybe 1 or 2, 3 more sessions. And it also, her using that healing and lightening balm, that balm is a partner for you in between her sessions, and she should be using it a few times a day. It's like when we do tattooing, we need to find that happy balance between a wet heel and a dry heel. Well, the same thing is going to happen with the removal. You need some lightening products. You don't want it to get all shriveled up and cracky and scabby, run the risk of scar tissue, and have a hard time getting some of those particles out. Liquid systems are not just extracting particles. That's really important. It's the same thing as laser. It is not just a matter of extracting particles of pigment out of the skin. And as long as we remember what we're doing, the removal expectations are so much easier to do because you understand it better and what's going on in the skin. It's that art and that science of pigment in and pigment out of the skin.
Great. And I know you were just touching a bit more on the aftercare balm, and there are a couple questions that come back to this, so maybe we'll circle back. One of them I think you've already answered, in that, do the clients take home the aftercare balm? Yes, because they are using it, as you've said, 2 to 3 times a day. The twofold to that was, how long do they apply it? So I'm guessing how many days in between sessions?
Pretty much till she's healed. And when she's healed and when the skin is, how can I say, stable, she's ready for another session. So everybody's hand and pressure is different. So one artist may have a client that's taking 3 weeks to heal. In the old days where we were working more aggressive, where Eliminink was a little bit more of an aggressive product, it was like upwards of 2 and 3 months in between sessions, because the scabbing and the crusting was so extensive and unsightly. I mean, I remember the days of where women could not go to work because the crusts were so thick, so nasty that it was a complete embarrassment. That's not where we want to be with our client anymore in the removal system. So that balm will help her ride the storm. So it works in conjunction with those acids in the open skin. So as soon as her skin is healed, she can stop using. It's not going to hurt it. Let's put it this way. It's not going to hurt the skin if she continues to use it. And it is, you can price it in as part of the treatment plan, or you can make it as an additional cost when as part of her aftercare. Like when you do a tattoo, you have an aftercare plan. Well, when we're doing removal, we have an aftercare plan, and you want them to do their homework with it as well. So when you're doing skincare, when you're doing needling, when you're doing anti-aging, we do hair care. We do our part at home with our conditioners, with our skincare cream. You need your client to do her part at home with her removal when the skin is broken and compromised. So in answer to that, that was the long answer. The short answer is it's not going to hurt her if she wants to continue using it till she sees you. But really, when that skin is healed, not only is she ready to stop using the cream, but she's just about ready for another session with you.
And maybe in some of that other long-winded answer to that question, you might have answered another question that's come in regards to the healing balm, which is, what does the healing process look like with Tootaloo, with the addition of the healing balm in comparison to something like Lift that utilizes dry healing? So perhaps that's already been touched on as far as the scabbing and dry crusting that we're trying to avoid, but I can repeat it if you'd like to.
No, and I understand exactly what you're saying there. And again, another great question. And I know I am long-winded. Yes, that's right. I just want everybody to get it. I wish I was sitting with you all in the school. So, if you want to do Tootaloo as a dry heal, you most certainly can. First, I should say that, However, what we worked on and the whole concept, things get better. We've got better products, better anti-aging, better serums, better pigments, better education. And I just felt we needed a better removal system where the skin was treated with, as they say, with more kindness. And we wanted, and it was actually the doctor that presented this. He said there should be no reason when that client is at home with this compromised open skin that instead of her getting all crusty and scabby, we should be taking the approach of adding more support with the acids, more support of the magnesium and the healing. And I know Stephanie and Kelly and I just love having educated conversation. They're just so wonderful. There's just great ladies to have discussion on which was the better way for us to take an approach into the skin in the heel. And the consensus was that going forward, the industry should definitely take a look at a heel that is giving the skin some of the treatment that you are providing in your clinic, one, and providing the skin healing and rejuvenation. Either you've done the job of the removal or you haven't. It's like tattooing. Either you've done a good job in your clinic to put her eyebrows in, or you haven't. The home care is also a part, is a partner. It's part of the marriage of successfully keeping the brow and successfully getting rid of the brow.
That's great.
That was long-winded again, wasn't it, everybody?
That's why you're here, to be long-winded, is it not? We do have only a few more minutes, so we do have another question that's come in that looks like another great one from Megan here. But I will say, if there's anybody who's itching to ask a question, pop it in the board now, because we only have a few more minutes together. Coming back to Megan's question, if you are doing a selective removal, say of a tail or a stroke outside of the desired shape, will the aftercare balm negatively affect the remainder of the tattoo that you want to keep?
Such great questions. And I have been faced with that when I'm doing both. And I I still go ahead and do both procedures. And I leave it up to the client to diligently and mindfully try and isolate the two products. The aftercare balm, no, let me put it the other way. The Tootaloo balm is not that aggressive that it will remove completely what's going on. Otherwise, these clients could use this at home. If you were to have her use it completely and she was to cross the line too much into an area that you have tattooed, yes, it can lighten the tattoo that you have put in. So if you're finding that those borders are too much, too close together, separate them and have her work on, you work on one, the removal, or you're working on the color correction part. So I would separate them if you're feeling they're crossing the line too close together, because yes, it can fade it. Of course it will.
And maybe is that only if you're doing the color correction where you've got the open skin? Because as we touched on earlier with the misconceptions of those fading topical creams that are on the market, where you're never going to just completely eliminate and remove a tattoo with a simple topical lightening fading cream. It's never going to remove that tail end of the eyebrow on its own. Is this really just in reference that you're saying to the
Because
open
the skin is
skin,
open.
you're doing the color correction? So
It's
not a
because
risk
the
if it's
skin
not
is
open,
open.
right?
Because when we put tattoo in, we are also injuring the tissue, no matter how. Whether we're putting pigment in or whether we're taking pigment out, we're injuring the tissue. So when you're putting pigment in, we know we're opening up that area. And therefore, we do run a risk of, what's good for one side is going to be good on the other side, right, ladies? So all I'm saying is, if your client can be very mindful about isolating where she's applying those two creams, and most of my clients can manage that quite successfully. You know what? If there's a slight lightness into the new area, if anything, you've worked on saturating some of your color corrected color successfully, because it's not going to remove it completely, because you haven't applied the actual saline solution in that area. So the lightening effect on the actual tattoo will be very minimal. But I couldn't sit here and say 100% that it's not going to compromise it.
Makes sense, especially when you're dealing with two separate openings of the skin and compromised for two different areas.
Absolutely.
Correct.
And we're not putting the saline there.
Right.
However, the post care is a different approach. And again, it's finding that happy place of wetness and dryness, even on a tattoo.
Okay, we've got one other question here. We're probably going to close up the Q&A after this last one, unless there's somebody who's burning to drop one in. Now is your moment. Otherwise,
send me an email.
Or you can send an email, yeah.
Or call me.
She's your full-time support specialist. Are there side effects? And I'm going to assume that means more so for the full Tootaloo removal procedure and less so about the aftercare that we were just talking about. I think this question came in before we really went into aftercare. So are there side effects likely with the whole Tootaloo system.
Side effects as in an allergic reaction, meaning, or
Maybe it's just general.
none.
So
There's, I have tried numerous removal systems. You know, prior to formulating Tootaloo, Chandler and I went to Cosmoprof in Asia, and when we were allowed, and I came back with more removal systems than I knew what to do with. And even the ones that I was unhappy with, there was no side effects. The side effect is usually was that artist or technician managing the tissue. If you've got good, safe ingredients and you have good technique, there will be no problems. Yeah, I know it's a process versus, putting it in, but Tootaloo is a completely safe, formulated product. And we are so excited to have all these natural ingredients that are going to support the removal of the product with the right amount of percentages of acids, the right amount of percentages of magnesium. You will have great success. And if you don't, I want to hear about it. I want to work with you, and I want to make sure that you do get successful with it, because you can help so many women who have so many ill-shaped brows right now.
great. And a variety of other tattoos too. It doesn't just stop there at brows.
Totally.
Totally.
A lot of tattoos. There's been a lot of crossing the line in the last 2 or 3 years, and we have a lot of work to do to get rid of them.
Well said. All right, everyone. We're probably going to wrap this up as we've taken about an hour of your midday, and we so appreciate you jumping on to join us on this Wednesday.